Hey everybody, welcome to the Logan Power Show. It's me, your host, Calvin Logan. Just want to tell again to all the fathers out there, hey, happy Father's Day. I appreciate you for what you've done. Being a father is not easy. There's no manual to this. It goes through steps, levels. There's levels to fatherhood. You're gonna get better over time. You're not gonna get perfect on day one. So don't beat over your head if you didn't get right the first time. You didn't get it right on day one or getting right year one, year two, year three. Just keep on pressing your way. Keep on understanding you're going to get the flowers that you're just due. So I'm giving your flowers to all you fathers out there. You are needed. You need to stay in this fight. You need to stay in this battle. People need you. People appreciate you. And to all the fathers out there, understand that this particular assignment is something that's everlasting. The time you put in now is going to benefit 20, 30, 40 years from now. So I claim all you fathers today. Hey, celebrate. I want your family to celebrate with you. Hey, tell about how good your father has been. Tell your father how much you love him. We appreciate that. Fathers do need to say, hey, we're loved and we appreciate it. So I want you all honor these men and men who are stepping in the gap. Ones who may not even be, that may be your child, but you become a mentor, a coach. You are a father. And I promise you this, you'll never, ever regret the assignment you've taken. You're going to hear some stories of some fathers talking about what they've experienced, what real fatherhood is. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see. And I'm telling you right now, today's a blessed day. So again, happy Father's to all the fathers out there, and to God be the glory.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show. And now the host, Calvin Logan.
Is a paycheck with a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? More so than it just being about, what kind of values can you add? What are you teaching your children? Because I can speak based on my father. My father, he was the type that he was like a tough love father. He didn't, you didn't get that I love you, the affectionate hugs and all of that because that's how he was brought up. But he was a real father. He was a provider. He cared for us. I knew he loved me, but it wasn't that it was said, it wasn't put out there, like out in the atmosphere. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, so for me with my children, I learned from the perspective of saying what I felt like I may didn't get from him that I wish I would have gotten, that I made sure I do it with my kids. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times what people will do, they'll sit and point the finger about what they didn't get and use it as an excuse for not doing it to their kids. And all you're doing is passing that down as like a generational curse. So you have to find a way to turn that thing around. And we don't, as men, we talk about stuff. And yes, we're on a platform where, yeah, we can speak about certain things, but even and still, when it comes to that part, yeah, we talk about men helping each other, encouraging each other. But when it comes to the father part of it, that's not something that we really speak a lot on. You know what I'm saying? We sit back and, you know, that one thing about it, when these kids were born, they did not give us a manual. A lot of things we had to learn on the fly. And then a lot of us, I was blessed to have a father and a mother in the house, but I also had other father figures that wasn't my dad. I got an uncle that was like a father. I have an aunt that was, like a mother. So even with you saying those people that are, in a place where they may not be a biological parent, but they still fit in the role. I have raised my biological children and married in again to some stepkids. And trust me, it was a world of a difference with the raising up. but you try to instill those core values, and sometimes it can be a little bit of friction because I can go deep on that one. It can be a little bit of friction because when you do that and you try to instill core values and they haven't instilled anything, it's like it's a fight. But you have to learn how to it's like as a father, you have to read the room. And trust me, we don't always get the accolades behind that. You know, um, as far as I really appreciate you. And some of us, I can't say all. I can speak for many that I know about, but some of us don't get what, I appreciate you for who you are, stepping in. I appreciate you for doing this. I appreciate you for doing that. And how many times do you see on television, even football players, sports, basketball, when they say something about who's in their life, they say, "Hey, mom," and dad might have been there the whole time. You know what I'm saying? But it's like we're taught to not you're not supposed to feel anything based on that. But at the same time, you're being you're the sole provider. You're taking care of these kids. You're putting a roof over their head. And sometimes people don't look at it as if it is something that should be, I'm not saying glorified, but as men being fathers, we want to feel appreciated, man. You know what I'm saying? We want to feel appreciated. And that's something that we really don't get that often. I can speak for me. I say for me. I really don't get that often as far as the appreciation. And man, just the even about the message that we're speaking today about being grateful and thankful, just to be thought of and say, hey, you know what? I thank you for what you're doing. I mean, I can go in the list about what happened with me and my kids because of what happened between me and my ex. But everything came around. And then when it came around, it was a more of a connection than it was before because they saw the things that I was trying to instill in their life at a very young age. And trust me, it is not an easy task. You got to do it with love. You got to roll with the punches. You're not always going to feel like you're thought about. And like you said, Pastor Calvin, yeah, it's a busy job because you got to be out here working, providing. You got to be the umbrella. You know what I'm saying? You got to be the head of the household. You got to be the pastor in your house as well. You know what I'm saying? You have to be a lot. And I know women, and I'll never discredit them for all of the hats that they wear. And I salute them, I applaud them. But brothers, the ones that's out here doing their jobs and doing what they're supposed to, how many stories do we hear about these fathers that they don't have a relationship with their kids and they've basically done everything for them? You basically you've broken your back for them and don't get the appreciation. But we got to suck it up and do what? Keep it moving. So that's why this platform with where Pastor Calvin's trying to do is get it to where you can feel appreciated, you can feel thought about, you can feel loved, you don't feel overlooked. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel left out. And that's what it's all about, man. Just being able to be there for each other, support each other, giving you your flowers. We want to give it to you while you can see them, while you can smell them, while you can, still breathing, you're still able to move around, you're still able to say thank you. Thank you for the flowers, brother. Thank you for the opportunity, brother, because I might not get it. It's some guys that we deal with stuff, and you have a whole marriage and been married 30, 40 years and still feel like you by yourself. You still feel unloved. I mean, I can go down the list now. You still feel unloved, but man, that's why you got to, number one, you got to put your faith and trust in God, and you got to live a godly life. And guess what? Even if it don't yield the results that you feel like you should get, you just got to know that you did the right thing. And with someone trying to have a platform to give you, to let you know that, hey, I see what you're doing. I see what you're going through. And I just want you to know, man, hey, you're not alone, and God loves you, and we all love you. And I'm giving you these flowers now. So each and every brother that's on this line, whether you have a child or not, biological step, uh, nieces, nephews that you see about, I salute each and every one of y'all. Even if you're being a mentor to somebody else that needs somebody that don't have a father, guess what? You are that father figure to them. And I salute each and every one of y'all. And man, keep y'all head up, keep working, keep grinding, keep loving. You know what I'm saying? Keep providing. And it don't always follow where we want it to. But just know you're doing what the will of God is for in your life, man, and you're making a difference. And down the line somewhere, somebody's gonna see it. Somebody's gonna come back and say, you know what? I saw what you did for me, and I appreciate it. And hey, man, I can keep talking, but I yield the mic.
Everything that and I'm gonna add to it on Friday, but everything that I did not get as a father is what I exemplify to the to kids that I come across. Whether I'm dating somebody who has kids or engage somebody who had kids or whatever, like coaching now, I treat them as if they're mine. I've been coaching for 16 years and say, you are a father because some of these kids don't have fathers. But yeah,
um, fatherhood. I think it means to be a father, or fathers only mean that you're taking care of your children. And that's my definition. That's not Webster's definition. And it doesn't mean having babies. It doesn't mean making babies. I think that's where the daddy aspect come in. But a father helps raise his children. He's there, for the upbringing. He's active in a kid's life. And the difference I think between fatherhood and being a daddy is the responsibility aspect of it. Brother Courtney was talking about the accolades that we don't get as fathers, and we don't. We didn't ask to be men when we were born on this earth, but the responsibility that came with being a man came with certain things that we didn't ask for. And as a man, you have to adhere to the fact that if you are a father, you have responsibilities. I've been in law enforcement 23 years now, and it kills me when I hear guys saying, "Well, I'm paying my child support, or I'm picking my kids up on the every other weekend." I'm like, bro, that's what you're supposed to do. That was your responsibility. You laid down with that young lady and you all conceived. That's part of the responsibility of taking the responsibility of having sex and making that child. So, no, we don't get the accolades, but I know internally, if you are a real man that is sincere about yourself and is strong in your faith, you know what you're doing, and your accolades may not come on this side of the earth, but spiritually, and when you get to heaven, it's going to be there. Now you're the mic.
Else like to talk about, for instance, the fatherhood side, and definitely all three men made some very, very powerful points. Now the question I have, maybe it's a little bit on a different side. What do we say to those fathers who are paying child support, who are trying to be active in their kids' life, and the court system is not giving the opportunity to get that time in with the kids? Now, we always know the Lord will give you your reward in the past life for doing the right things, being a born again believer. But what are we speaking to those fathers that may not be a believer? Maybe their faith is not there at this point. But how are we able to sort of change the trajectory? Because you see time and time again, the system of fatherhood is not really being amplified. Yeah, you can say child support, absolutely, that's your responsibility to pay that. But there's also that the relationship piece is key, because in life, what happens to those fathers that may lose their job? Maybe they're working 10, 15 years. There are people get laid off from a job and say they got to work 2, 3 jobs just to support their family and not really spend the time and bond with their child and able to have those moments. And what I mean by those moments is, like, they are really pretty much two professions that really sort of pour into a kid's life. That's education as a teacher and a coach. Outside of the parent and ministry, those are the three entities that get a lot of time of a kid's life. Because education, you get pretty much 8 months, almost 10 months out the year. That teacher pretty much is with that kid Monday through Friday. A coach may get another part of that kid as well. And how are we able to bridge the gap? So if any other man want to talk about like, fatherhood, what is it? What is it like to be a father? What are some things we need to work on, help out with? The floor is yours.
That's a good question, a good point, discussion point. Being a part of the system, I've seen it in two different ways. I, and I have three girls, two from my previous marriage. Um, my point was, I don't want the system to get involved in my responsibility. So somehow, me and the child's mother should be able to work this thing out. Now, again, in a perfect world, I get it, but we don't live in a perfect world. When things happen that are not out of that are not under our control, you have to keep persevering because it's not about you. It's not about, the mother. It's about the longevity of that child. The child was the innocent piece that is brought in. As a man, sometimes we have to, eat humble pie, just be humiliated to the degree that it's not about me, knowing that your reward is going to come later if you are taking care of your responsibility.
Amen. 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 I think that's a positive piece that we need to take into account, that it's all about the child and investing into that child. And hopefully you pray that God is going to honor you with the reward. And that reward is your child is still talking to you in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and 50s, however how long God has you on the earth. Do you have grandkids? Do they honor you? Say, hey, that's grandpa. Grandpa puts in the work. Grandpa, like, they tell the stories. And the stories are given to you while you're alive, not when you're gone and off and be with the Lord. Or like, you made a bad choice, you're living in hell. So any other man, like talk about their story of fatherhood, being a grandpa, anything of that nature, just like saying, just growing up as a kid, like, just as a father, what was your father like? Or what some things that you say need to be worked on as you see what fathers here today?
Yeah, I would like to say, Mr. Calvin, one thing I've experienced growing up was, I'm sure this is just about everybody's story. Well, not everybody, probably a lot of people's story. But my dad, he worked so much, man, to the point to where I know he loved me. He provided anything he could for me, but I don't think he had balance. And I don't think him and my mom had the best relationship. Did they have a terrible relationship? No. I just don't think that certain things were passed down to him when it comes to the value of a home, a wife, a family structure, the seeds that you have that you're planting in this earth. Um, how will they develop? What will they become? Will they be fruitful? Will they be an honor to you? I just don't think he experienced that from his father. So all he knew how to do was to just work and get me what I needed.
Provide. Hmm.
That's it. And I think, in this day and time in this life, that's the solemn duty of just about every man. But I also know that God made us different because I look at my wife and I'm like, okay, she's cut totally different when it comes to that house, them kids, that family, that structure, you know. So I look at my dad. He was a great man, loving dearly, but he just never spent a lot of time with me. He didn't really think he had the time. And it kind of go back what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes we put so much on our plate and we don't properly plan. And I know you can properly plan and things can happen and there's a change that you said, Brother Calvin, people lose their job, this world we're living in, things are subject to change. But I don't think he had a bona fide plan of how he's gonna bring kids into this world, raise his kids, be active in his kids' life, and try to, leave a good footprint in this earth from a father perspective. And I think that's one thing I'm striving for today is to, as Brother Curtis said, try to give my kids what I didn't have. Not that I had a terrible life, but I just want to improve. And I think that if we could continue to improve from generation to generation to generation, I think we will be contributing to making the world a better place. But, there's a lot of work to be done as fathers. I do a lot, and I do take care of my kids, but yet there's still so much that I don't do. When I get home sometimes, I'm so tired, of a long day, long week. I know they want me to read them a book, and I read them a book often, but I look at the energy, the motivation, knowing the importance of it. I'm active, I'm present, but I'm so beat and thinking about my next day to where I can't even give it my all. So those are things I want to work on, structuring my life so I could be more, present in my kids' life, more effective in my kids' life, even have the patience to, like, when they want to just play and do certain things. I'm not gonna lie, I do it, but sometimes I'm just so beat down that my mind is not even there while I'm doing it. And I do my best to pretend or go with the flow, but yeah, man. So I just want to become a better father, man, and just free up more time. And my dentist told me years ago, he said, Rock, until you become a owner of your time, you're not free. You're still a slave. He said, until you become an owner of your time, your day, your schedule, your life, he said, whether you know it or not, you're not free. You're still a slave. And that's one thing I want to continue to work on, just freeing up my time, minimizing certain things in my life, maximizing my, potentials, and just making it count to leave footprints in this earth and to become a better father, a better husband, a better brother, a better servant. Yeah, it's about becoming less in some areas to gain more. And I yield the mic.
Brother Rock, I would encourage you, my brother, to make that time you do spend with them, make it personal. Because on the other hand, Brother Daryl has said something that was so profound, and that was with my mom was my father. That's who I look at as that and being in that role. They divorced when I was like 5 years old, 4 years old, so he wasn't there to raise me. My mom did that, and Brother Daryl said, even when it comes to me being the father, I was a dad. I was in the house, but I was doing dad things. I mean, I was covering the house and everything, doing all that stuff that a father or a man should do for his house. I was providing. I was making sure they had, clothes on their back, food to eat, and stuff like that. But when it come right down to it, the time, because I spent a lot of time working. I was working, you know, 10 hours a day, plus trying to run a business when I got home. So it wasn't the personal time that I spent with him, I'll say the personal father son training, just interacting with him. And we did a lot of things. I mean, we went on our little short trips, did things like that right there. But we stayed in church, we kept them in church and stuff like that. But it wasn't at this stage. I say it wasn't enough. Because the boy right now he in a different world. Because he had, if he told his story, I didn't do anything for him. I did not do absolutely nothing for him. And there's a lot to be said behind that. I mean, if I got right into it, I could just shoot that whole story down. But it's the fact that you have to put in the time. I say quality, good quality time. And see, the only thing that I could tell you about my dad is this right here. I had followed my brother to school, and my dad was out looking for me. And so I decided to walk back home by myself, and a wild dog came and attacked me, and just so happened he had popped up at the right time. And I mean, he beat the dog down. He literally beat the dog down. That's one thing that I can remember. And the next thing is that my mom didn't appreciate it, but he gave me a 20 gauge shotgun. My mom went ballistic. You gonna give a 15-year-old a shotgun, blah blah blah. But see, he was doing what he felt as a father. You know what I'm saying? He was doing what he thought was a good thing. But I'll just say you the time, because like I talked to my son, I said, you say I didn't teach you anything, but I tell you this, I did teach you not to disrespect anybody. And I said, if you just take that right there, you can find your way through anything. If you respect the people that are in front of you, and right now, I mean, I very rarely hear from it. If I do, it's some crazy message, and I told him, I say, look, if you really want to talk, let's talk. But if you're gonna send me crazy stuff like this, please don't bother. I just asked him, don't bother me with this. If you want to make sense, let's talk about it. So we don't talk, much at all. But we hold him up in prayer because he done got off into some weird, crazy stuff. But as far as being a father figure, walking him through certain things, making sure he knew certain things. It was just like real slim, real. It wasn't a whole lot of, you know. And he was the type of kid that could grab hold of just about anything. I walk home coming up from the bus one day. He out there doing brakes on the car. I said, "Who taught you that?" He said, "I watch you do it." I had a camera in my house from printing, and it was on a 220 line. I'm coming in the house because I talked to them. Say I gotta do some work. Y'all gonna have to be out the way. He in there wiring the camera up. I said, dude, you know how dangerous that was? I said, who taught you that? He said, I saw you do it. So he was learning something, but I didn't teach it to him. He just learned from watching. So it's in him, but it's just a lot that he himself gonna have to come to realization, because I done went through the whole thing of just clearing everything and just being, I guess you could say, apologetic for, hey, not being there the way you wanted me to be there. So I put the ball in his hand, but being a father is, it's some work. It's definitely some work, you know. I released the mic.
I guess there's two sides to it for me. You guys already know about my daughter, you know what I mean? She's my rock, lifeline, you know what I mean? I look at her in amazement on a daily, just the mere fact that, from day one to now, I've been witnessing everything that she's been able to do in such a short period of time. As Brother Charles just said, his son, he learns stuff without being taught, just by looking. That's kind of, I tell people this all the time. My daughter is self-taught. Where shoot, I mean, we 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 throw the book at her. I feel like we've been doing that since birth. So she's smart in that aspect. But with regards to everything else, man, like to navigate, a computer, a laptop, a phone, that's all her. I mean, I doubt me or her mom have ever like picked up a gadget and be like, hey, let's show you this. She's been the one navigating her way through it since then. And it's a beautiful thing to witness, man, on a daily. Um, but then too, you guys know about the other side where, I've got others, what I mean, and I've not been privy to all of that. You know, I was there in my son's life for 2 years. And then 2 years after, I've been pretty much absent. And it's not been because I want to be. You know what I mean? So it's bittersweet. Being a dad for me is bittersweet because, I grew up where dad was always, if he's not living in the house, he's around. You know what I mean? So you're seeing him on a day to day. You're getting that dad connection. And to know that, hey, you know, I know the type of father that I am, and to know that, there's other kids out there and they're not being privy to everything that my daughter is privy to. That part of it hurts. But, witnessing everything that she's doing on a day to day, man, it's nothing short of amazing. I would, it's a beautiful thing. I can definitely attest, I can definitely say that I'm not upset, not one bit, that I'm a dad. It humbles you, it allows you to be patient. You know what I mean? It lets you put a smile on when you feel like there's nothing there to smile about. You know what I mean? So, and I feel like, it's God, that's gotten me through these past 5 years. But this one right here has definitely helped. You know what I mean? I feel like if she wasn't on deck, I would have been a wreck. I would have lost it. Like really, really lost it. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing, man. Fatherhood is it's a beautiful thing. I feel like it's a privilege, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I always say God chooses, the person. At the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters. But then, God chooses this person or these people for you to be responsible for on earth. You know what I mean? So, that part of it, I feel like it's a privilege. But yeah, man. Fatherhood is nice. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I released the mic, bro.
Well, for me, I was only a father for about 3 years, 8 months, 4 days. I lost my daughter in a car crash, but uh, I enjoyed it. I really did. But I'm looked at as a father figure to so many other kids that don't really have fathers in their life. Kind of enjoy that until they start digging into my pockets. But I'm the last person to tell somebody how to be a dad or how to be a good dad. Because looking at my dad, the way he treated me, I wouldn't dare try to model myself after him. My dad was evil. He personified evil. He was a drunk. He was an abuser. But he still kept a roof over my head. I had to love the guy for it, but I wouldn't dare pattern myself after him if I had kids. I look at some of y'all and the way y'all are with y'all kids, and I can't do it but applaud y'all because y'all doing what most men have the ability to do but won't do. And sometimes I call y'all and I be asking advice, but I'm asking as like trying to get fatherly advice from people. I don't do it with everybody because everybody I don't trust. But I know I can trust some. I know I can trust the guys in this on this Zoom call right now.
I hold that thing very dear, man, and it's I don't take fatherhood lightly at all. Like I don't make no excuses or try to put the blame on what my father did. Or I know it been said in here, like I try to give my kid what I didn't have. Like sometimes, like some of the things that we didn't have, we didn't need. So like even at that aspect, like you had to understand like what is it? And some of the things that like our parents gave us, as you get older, you understand. You feel like it was some of the things that you didn't need, but you get older, you're like, man, it really what I needed. They may didn't give it to me in the right way, but like as you get older, you can cipher through it and pick through what the vital stuff. Like man, it's just a lot, man. Like I raised one of my daughters. I've been a father for 17 years, and I raised one of my daughters. She was like 14. She was the only child. Now I got three babies that I'm raising together. I got a 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 10-month-old that I'm raising together, man. And it's totally different. So like even with now, like the things that I learned as I raised my daughter, along with what you were just saying, I know I can't a lot of things I couldn't teach my daughter that her mother could teach her. So my daughter was crazy about me. But at one point I had to tell her like I had to tell her mother like, man, I know Layla love me. She always want to be around me, but it's some things that I can't teach her. Like it's something you as a mother got to teach her. Like you got to show her some things that you got to show her. So even with that, man, it just even though her mother had some bad traits, even I had bad traits growing up, man. All that stuff just so vital and it means so much. And it really touched my spirit like for fatherhood. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it like I really take it serious. Like cause kids are life changers. They didn't ask to be here. They I think I can't remember who said it, but like we laid down, we can see them. Might have been Brother Daryl. So like, man, you gotta get yourself out the way. So like
Hmm.
and as you get older, like when you first I was 20 when I first heard that I was having a child, so I was 20 years old. So like I'm looking at like, oh, yeah, I got this. I got it. I won't, it ain't no big deal. But like when she was born, like those the kids are life changing. And if you don't change your life, then you're not gonna get in the get in the avenue or get on the road you need to be on to raise them. And then even with that, like I was raising them out of what I taught, what I knew, what I was doing. I wasn't even tying in God's way of raising them. So once you feel like you're doing it your way, you're doing it the right way. Now you get connected to God and you understand that God way is a whole different way, a whole different avenue of how you raising your kids. So like now you got to line up with God's word. So like it's a lot because you got to make sure you connected to the spirit and you got to make sure what you connect and what God is giving you, you passing it on to your kids. But at the same time, your kids don't normally. It's not easy for them to understand on a spiritual level because like certain things they just don't understand. They don't get because it took you a while to get it. So as you get older and you start understanding, and God giving you a way to give to them, you still got to think about that. Man, they still kids. Like they still their own person. They still God children, even though God give them to you, but like they still children of God, so they gonna have their own way. God gonna bring them up different from how He brought you up. So like even with that, like man, I think I believe and I know that like you gotta rely on God for raising your kid, man, because like it get tough sometimes. I work at night, then I get home, I got 3 kids that I gotta see about, and I'm constantly praying all day because I don't want to just snap or be angry with them or try to fuss with them because like they gonna remember that stuff. Like they understand how you making them feel. So like just because I want to snap because I'm the father, that don't mean like okay now you just left a bad taste in their mouth. And even though kids forget real quick, like they'll come, you can whoop them in the next 5 minutes. They want to love on you, hug on you, but at the same time, they know, shoot, daddy just whoop. Like, and then you as a parent, you following God, like God, did I just pop them out of me not having control of my emotion? Did I pop them out of me not having control of my feelings? Because like I supposed to be of the spirit, like I'm supposed to be following the spirit, so I can't lash out on them because I'm frustrated. Because I got to be leaning on you and depending on you for correction. I got to lean on you and depend on you for direction. Like, so like, man, this thing real complex. Like, even with like we say posting stuff on social media, man, I got on social media like in March. I haven't been back home because I got 3 kids on raising. I don't have time to be on social media trying to post stuff on social media. Shoot, all my time is I need to make sure I'm doing the right thing for my kids, trying to teach them their ABCs, trying to teach them their numbers, trying to teach them their letters, make sure they're not solely focused on the TV all day. So like, and I got to get my rest too. So man, that's why I say it's a lot. That's why I want to see if it was gonna be another session because like, man, I can talk a lot about fatherhood, man. Even like not trying to take the blame or not trying to hold your father accountable for your action because like shoot, you're a man. Like at some point, you responsible. So no matter what your father did to you or how they treated you or what they didn't do to you, like if you're a follower of Christ, you understand God is our Father, and at some point, you're responsible for your own action. Like you can't blame your dad, you can't blame your mama, because like at some point in your life, you are responsible for your own action. So like I said, man, it's a lot, man. That's all I share right now, and I'll share some more later. Cause like, man, it's a lot, man. And that stuff mean a lot to me. I take it real serious. I take fatherhood real serious. It even bother me to see someone else not doing their part, but at the same time, if God not giving you, if God haven't told you to say something or step in, then you got to follow God's way, no matter how you feel. It's not about your feelings. It's about following God's way. It don't matter just because it feel right. It might not be righteous. So like, it's real complex, man. And like, you just gotta
Oh, what are you
lean on
doing?
God and follow His way for Him to lead you in the right way with fatherhood or being a father figure. Period. Because what you do could very much affect some people's whole life, and they might not get it right until they get connected with God and God revealed to them that like you just trying to help, or you just trying to do the right thing, but you made a bad decision that time. But like that bad decision, they could hold it against you for the rest of your life. So like, man, it's a lot, man. I released the mic, and I said I tune in tomorrow and try to say some more about it.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.